Okay, so in chapter 3.3, we're working with long division. And this is long division just like before back in the day, but now we're dealing with variables as well. So the first thing you want to do is you have to make sure that everything is in standard form, which is descending order. So it's 3, 2, 1, and this is my constant term. So that's in standard form. Standard form means the powers count down. The same here, so we're good to go. The next thing you have to do is make sure you have all of your terms. If you were missing a term, so let's say for instance is negative 2x wasn't really here. He's not there. Why do I need to fill him in? I would add 0x. Okay? This is your dividend. He's being divided. And this is your divisor. He is the one doing the divising. Okay? Your dividend goes inside, so 4x to the third power minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1 divide by x plus 1. Okay? Now, the rule is the first thing you want to do is take the first term, which is 4x to the third, and divide it by x. So 4x to the third power divided by x. One second. So 4x to the third power divided by x. The rule is, divide out the coefficients. So 4 divided by 1 is 4. And then you subtract the powers. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So it becomes 4x squared. So that's 4x squared. Once you do that, now you get to multiply. So taking this first term, this is the first term inside my quotient, and you multiply by every term inside your divisor. You multiply by every term inside your divisor. So 4x squared times x is 4x to the third power plus 4x squared times 1 is 4x. And then you subtract them, which means this becomes a negative and this becomes a negative as well, or a minus sign. These cancel out, and I end up with negative 7x squared. Okay? And then you drop down the next term, which is minus 2x. And you do the same thing all over again. So now, the first term is negative 7x squared divided by x. So negative 7x squared divided by x. Still divide out the coefficients, so I still get negative 7. Keep the base. 2 minus 1 is 1, so I get negative 7x. So I have minus 7x. And then again, you multiply. So negative 7 times x is negative 7x squared minus 7x. And we're going to subtract. This becomes a plus sign. This becomes a plus sign. These cancel. So negative 2x plus 7x is 5x. Drop down the next term, which is the 1. And then you repeat it all over again. So the first term is 5x divided by x. So 5x divided by x is just 5. So now I'm adding 5 inside my quotient, and then I multiply again. So 5 times x is 5x plus 5. Subtract, which means this becomes a minus and becomes a minus or a subtract sign. These cancel, and 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Therefore, I have a remainder of negative 4, and how do you write it? Well, I'm going to say minus 4 divided by, what was I dividing by? X plus 1. Okay? Now, you can either put the minus here and put the negative there and call it a minus sign, or you can call this plus negative 4 divided by x plus 1. They mean the same thing. Okay, so remember the takeaway here is you're basically playing a repeat game. And the game starts off by saying take the first terms and divide them. Okay, that becomes a result inside your quotient, and then you multiply. Multiply to get your new first term, and you do the same thing over and over. Multiply, subtract, get a new first term, and finally at the end you end up with just a constant, and -4 cannot be divided by x, right? Therefore that has to be my remainder, and you write it out. You have two options, either -4 over x plus 1 or plus -4 over x plus 1. Alright, synthetic division is another option we can use for dividing polynomials. But the main thing about synthetic, in order to use it, you have to have your divisor has to be in the form x minus c, where c is some number, any constant, x minus c. It can't be x squared or x to the fourth or x fifth or anything like that. It has to be just x minus c. So what I'm going to do is write this in the form x minus c. So it becomes x minus a -5. In order to make that plus a minus sign, I have to put the negative on the number. And remember, a negative makes a positive. So really this is 3x to the fourth plus 11x to the third minus 20x squared plus 7x plus 35 divided by x minus -5. Okay? And again, we're going to follow the same rules we did for our long division in the beginning. Everything should be in standard form. So 4, 3, 2, 1, and my constant term. So that matches. And also, if I had zeros, if I was missing terms, it would be very important to put zeros there. So if you're missing terms, you have to put zeros there. Alright, then the first thing we're going to do, let me see, first thing to do, go ahead and draw your backwards L, okay? And you're always going to put your C inside there. So C is -5. Be careful, it's not 5, it's -5. It has to be in the form x minus c. So put your c inside your little box. So, and then you're going to write the coefficients of every term. Just the coefficients. So that becomes 3, 11, -20, 7, and 35. Okay? Go ahead and draw your horizontal line. It's like an addition problem. And the first thing I'm going to do, the 3 drops down automatically. So he's going to drop. And then you're going to do 3 times -5, which is -15. And you write the result under the next coefficient. And then you add. So 11, sorry, 1 second. And then you add these two. So 11 plus -5 is -4. So 11 plus -5 is -4. Okay, so then you drop it down, and then you do the same thing. You multiply again. -4 times -5 is 20. And then you add, and you get 0. And then 0 times -5 is still 0. And then you add, and you get 7. Okay? And then you multiply again. 7 times -5 is -35. And then you add, and you get 0. Okay? So we have 3, -4, 0, 7, 0. Now you need to write out your answer, right? And something I understand. Is always going to be 1 less than the degree of the original polynomial. The original polynomial was a degree of 4, so this one has to be a degree of 3. So it's 3x to the third power minus 4x squared, and there is no, I'll put it there, plus 0x plus 7, and the remainder is 0. So let me write that again. It's 3x to the third minus 4x squared plus 7. That's your answer. If there was a remainder term, I would write it the same way I wrote it before. So let's pretend like it said 2. If it said 2, I would write plus 2 over x plus 5. Because that's what I'm dividing by, right? If there was a remainder term. There isn't, so I don't have that piece. But I tell you what, I will write it as plus 0 over x plus 5, and then 0 divided by anything, 0. So it's not included in my final answer. Okay, so let's recap here. It's synthetic division. In order to do synthetic division, it has to be in this form, x minus c. Okay, it has to be in that form, x minus c. The first thing you're going to do is draw a backwards L, and you're going to put the c there. Then you drop down the first term. So drop down the first coefficient, we have a 3, and then you multiply. 3 times negative 5, negative 15. And then you add. And you end up with a new result, right? And guess what you do to it? You multiply. You write it down, and you add. Get a new result. You multiply, you write it down, and you add. It's a repeating game. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions using synthetic or long division.